Have you ever wanted to hide? You want to help, but you have to take care of your family first. Maybe this next paycheck I can support causes I love. Tell me, how does this sound? You shop, click a picture of a receipt, and pick someone you support while shopping for your family. Well, check out communitypayitforward.us. Hover your mouse here. Click on the Verified Given Partner button and shop with any partner that will satisfy your needs. Grab the receipt because every time you shop, a Community Pay It Forward mission partner receives anywhere from 80 to 90% of a referral. You can find the mission partners by going right here. Each mission has a QR code so you can upload your receipt. And that's it. Shop, click, and pick. Join the program. You shop with small businesses and support great people. Great people who need a little help. Or help to support the great people doing great things. Because with Community Pay It Forward, you don't have to hide anymore. Community Pay It Forward knows every small business is essential.
Attention business owners, this is your captain speaking. Fasten your seatbelts as we prepare your business to take off. Hi, I'm Joe, your captain of online reviews. Give me a thumbs up if your reputation is important to your business success. Excellent, thank you, and welcome on board. Today, online reviews tell your prospects about the quality of services that you provide. As a matter of fact, online reviews are the new word-of-mouth advertising, so if you don't have a flight plan in place to get 5-star reviews, your reputation could be hijacked by one bad review, crashing your business. So what we do is we put you in the cockpit with our automation called Give Me a Thumbs Up. Our technology can actually predict whether your clients will write a good review or a bad review before we even ask them. So if you'd like to learn more about this technology, book your flight with Captain Joe today so that tomorrow you can sit back, relax, and watch your 5-star business take off.
Born into a real fight, wasn't right. Where can she dream here?
Hey everyone, it's Wednesday. How you doing? Just right up front, keep your fingers crossed. All this weird weather we're having has got Melissa's internet a little funky today, but you know what? The internet's been a little funky since the 22nd. And on the 22nd, it was definitely a lot funky. So, but she will be here. She is just working with her internet, trying to get everything going. But until then, we've got Jeff who's going to be here in just a second. I got a couple things I need to talk to you all about. I got a special offer for our partners. One of the things that we like doing I've always enjoyed doing was putting out different shirts. And we've got a new shirt coming out with a brand new group that is not a brand new group. It's some of my very, very best friends in the world. The Darringtons have started a new company and they are putting out shirts. And you, my wonderful partners, have an opportunity to join us and put your logo on our shirt so everyone around can spread your message. The back of the shirt is really cool. It's kind of it's a new design that Logan came up with. And I love this design because it's very similar to what we are. It's everything that we love, but it's got a new twist to it. And let me show you here, we're going to go with purple and gray shirts this time. And gosh, I wish I could get this to come up bigger, but there's what the ladies look like. It's got the logo in the front, but here in the back, and geez, I wish we could see this a little bit better. But up top, it says helping others and then claw back. It's got a bear claw with the American flag in it because you all know how much I love our country and love representing our country. But we've got a purple and we've got a gray. And we've got a couple different options for you as partners if you would like to get your logo on our shirt and support what we're doing, along with letting everybody know that you're part of this. Show your support and let others share your name. It's very, very simple. And all we need you to do is to... I don't know what's going on. Thank you. All you would need to do is go onto the job form here, fill this out. If you want me to send it to you, just get a hold of me, and we can most definitely get you on there. You can have just the outline of your logo or a full colored logo. Okay. All of the proceeds, once this is done, is going to help us keep our free outreach free. Okay. Look, it costs a lot of money to give away stuff for free. It truly does. So with storage and everything. So we need your help, but this is a cool shirt. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to find, as soon as we get everything started here, I think I'm going to try to find the larger logo. So Melissa's still having a little bit of an issue, which is, it's sad, but where you've got a huge show anyway. We're going to be joined by a couple more people. Our brain injury show tonight is very, very intense. There is a lot of stuff coming your way. A lot of people I've met over the last week are going to come in and talk to us and tell us their story, what they've went through, what they've been through. You already know Jeff and I are doing this, and we started this as a partnership just to try to make sure that people understand that there is life after a brain injury. And look at that. It ended quicker than I thought it was going to. Sorry, had to go let the dogs in. So now I know 1 minute is not long enough for me to run my fat butt upstairs. So, but anyway, this is a special mission to us because we both deal with life with different brain injuries. And there's a lot of people who come up to us and ask us different questions. And so that's what we're trying to do throughout today is answer throughout this month, try to answer a lot of these questions. So we are waiting again for Melissa to be joining us. If you would like to go to our Facebook page and see everything that's going on, little QR code right up here. That's how you can go on there and get it figured out. Just go on there, take a look at it, and the brain injury thing's only 30 seconds. I knew I wasn't that slow. I'm slow, but I knew I wasn't that slow. I was like going, there's no way that took me a minute. Oh, okay. So, all right, take 2. Here we go again. Anyway, I'm going to bring Jeff on. We're going to get started on this because this is such an impactful thing. This is such it's a fantastic program. Oh, before I do bring him on, I did want to say, be on the lookout. Community Impact is coming back with something very special. Very special. We're working on something that's going to be extremely beneficial for all of our nonprofits and all of our business partners. It can get you out there better than we've been able to so far. I'm working with Achieve Systems right now, and we're going to be doing something. I was thinking first part of July, but somebody kind of tried to tell me that, you need to get this done before the meeting in June. So, and yay, she's here. So we're going to bring on Jeff. You got to wait in the background because I'm going to talk to her first. So, Melissa, how are you doing, sweetheart?
I'm good. I was worried my internet was giving me some issues, but hello, I'm here.
That's great. It's so weird. A couple of years ago, there was a huge sun flare, and ever since then, internet's been terrible. I mean, nobody's internet has been worth a damn. And so we believe me, I understand. I had to take and do the first hour and a half of the 22 hours. I had to do that on my iPhone, and it was awful. And I finally figured out what the halo over me was, though. It was my screen protector. The lens of the camera was going right through the top of the screen protector, so it was making my 8 head here a 15 head. So I looked like I was my father. I had no hair for a while, or it looks like I was being sucked up into a vortex. Melissa, please introduce yourself.
I am Melissa Lozada. I work with One Hope Wine. One Hope Wine is a charity-based winery, and we fundraise through our wine. We share wine that gives hope. And so far, we have donated over 10 million, and we support over 40,000 nonprofits. So it's really nice that I get to join forces and bring awareness about so many different nonprofits. So that's what I do. It's who I am, and I'm here in Southern California.
That's pretty much one of the wine capitals of the world. Northern Colorado is where more of the vineyards are, right? Or California, Colorado.
California and Oregon. I mean, they all have huge, beautiful wineries. So
yeah,
it's good to visit.
Yep. So, one of these days, maybe I'll have to make my way out, come over and meet you and your husband in person. That'd be a nice trip, I think. So,
sure.
Well, and I love the fact that you guys have spent, that the company has put $10 million into the pockets of organizations like Hydro Hope. And you guys do it simply by doing something that we love to do, and that's shopping with our partners. And so I think that your program is so fantastic, and I love your guys' program. Speaking of Hydro with Hope,
Mhm.
Jeff, you got to just change the name to For Hope because I can't. My pigheadedness, I can't get past it. I don't know what's going on. So, but Jeff Pearson, the founder of Hydro with Hope. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, you're funny, man. Yeah, just change it. No big deal. Yeah,
Yeah, why
just
not?
just for Zach. We're gonna change the whole thing. We're gonna change it all just for Zach.
Well, it's
Mhm.
not like the paperwork's a pain in the ass or anything. You know, I mean, come on.
Right? Yeah. No, that nonprofit thing was a breeze. Yeah. Actually, you know what? You know, I say you don't hate me. But we from the time that we said, yeah, we want to do this and put the, did the paid the money or whatever and did the thing online to be and the time that we got the envelope in the mail was about a month to get our nonprofit back. So it was like miraculous lightning speed getting that 501c3 set up. So
It,
it was much. I thought they were sending me a letter to say you screwed something up. You're missing all this stuff. Do it again or whatever. And I was thinking, oh my gosh. And then we opened it up and it was the actual letter that said we were good to go. So that was pretty cool. But I know that's
it
not
is
typical.
actually amazing. Yeah, it is. It is amazing how, with a good lawyer, how easy it is to get that done.
Yeah.
In which it's never easy, but
Simple.
with the good lawyer, it happens a hell of a lot quicker and than it does without. So, Jeff, why don't you tell us a little bit about Hydra with Hope and what you guys are working at and what you're hoping that the fundraising event will help you accomplish.
Thank you. So Hydra with Hope was launched a couple of years ago in April of 22 and almost 2 years ago. And we saw a need that was not maybe it's being met on a small scale, but we wanted to meet it on a larger scale. And so we saw a need for practical boots on the ground help for people and families dealing with this crazy condition called hydrocephalus. And more than anything, education. I mean, there's so many people that this condition is ridiculously common, but nobody seems to know anything about it. And so between awareness and practical resources, we saw a huge need. And so first thing we did was publish that journal that's behind me here, to walk people through that first terrifying moment of, holy crap, my kid's going to have what kind of surgery, and all the ins and outs of surgery and recovery and medical record keeping. I'm sure you don't know anything about that, Zach. And all the things, it can be a nightmare. And so to have it all in one book is nice. And the idea is to have one journal per surgery, and so that you can keep track of them individually, make it easy on yourself. And then you'll I really want to get the word out to the point that I'd love to speak just about anywhere you want me. So in person or virtually, I'm in. So that's
because he loves to drive to Houston, just to let everyone know. I mean,
on a week's notice. Yeah, it's a drop of a hat. Let's drive to Texas. Sure. Yeah, it was fun.
So, you just got your website revamped.
Yeah, just a few days ago the new one launched. It's pretty cool.
And it's a beautiful. I love the way it looks. You guys have. And I just wanted you to do this again because I think this story is so cool. Tell us the story about this little fella here.
This little dude, man, that's David. He is awesome. And we one of the first families that reached out to me in 2022. It was like 3 or 4 months in with Hydra with Hope. And we're building our Facebook group and building our page and all that stuff. And so I'm just everywhere. I joined like 10 other hydrocephalus focused groups on Facebook, and I'm just leaving messages on everybody's post, like people are asking questions. I'm trying to help them out, all the things. And this family found me through one of those comments and reached out through Facebook Messenger and said, "Hey, this is what's going on. You know, our little son David has been born at 26 weeks, way premature."
Yeah.
Way premature. 26 weeks, this little dude. And he was in ICU for a while, of course, before they could even do the surgery to give him a shunt because he was diagnosed with hydrocephalus and they didn't know what to do. And the part of the country they were, or the part of the world they were in was kind of near the Middle East. And so the information was, they were just scared. They were freaked out, And so it was an honor, man. I was so glad to reach them, or that they reached me, and then we were able to talk and kind of swap stories. And I mean, all I wanted to do is give them hope, man. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of a life when they get diagnosed and get that brain surgery. It can very easily be the beginning of something awesome. And so this picture, fast forward a few weeks, he got the surgery, got the shunt in there, got relieved the pressure. He's doing awesome. And this was a picture of him. I think this is a picture from a trip they came to Houston, actually. Ironically, to a place that helps people with, if they suspect like developmental things that they might need a little help on. And so they just, as cautionary, they came to get help on that. And so I got to see him on video, like do a FaceTime call with him. It was so cool. But we still keep in touch. They're going to be on the show. It's going to be fantastic. So they're from United Arab Emirates, of all places.
Wow.
It's like, what the heck is that about? That's the beauty of the internet and of Facebook. There's a lot out there that's not great of it, but man, that was cool. And so that's my favorite. That's why we asked him to put David's picture on the website, because it's such a cool story, and he's such a cute kid. So
he's a damn good looking kid, and of course, he's
right.
wearing the bear robe.
I
and
figured you'd like
with
that.
bears. But I just need to go back real quick, and I need to show people this is what the logo on our new shirts looks like, and so this is what you can be part of. So and there's the bear tie-in, because you see the bear claw with the flag in it. I think it's just, I think it really fits what, our country is. We're trying to help others claw back. And I think it's a wonderful thing that Logan and Rainey have put together for our shirts. Actually, we can even do this a little bit, and you can see the shirts a little bit better right here. So I forgot I can go on this, but we're thinking about doing some shirts with this on for the ladies, because it's a different variation of our logo, and I like doing different things. So, but again, we are looking for people, our partners, who want to be on the back of this shirt, and help us put your name in front of other people when they're walking behind you. So, a way to support community Dare to Care and help us keep our outreach free. So, but yeah, so get a hold of me if you'd like to be part of this. It's the new shirt. We did a purple shirt once before, and I was thinking to myself, this is gonna, I'm gonna have these shirts forever. I had them sold out in 3 weeks. They were gone. And the crappy thing about it is I never got one. So I see one every once in a while, and I'm like going, man, those are good looking. Hey, that's my shirt. And I can't even remember that I had them because I never got one. So, but hey, Melissa, we're going to do things a little bit different today. We're going to ask you to do your part of this first off, because we are going to have other people joining us today. And we're going to really focus in. You can tell us more stories about what you've experienced with the brain injury in your family that unfortunately took your mom. But let's go on ahead and let's focus right now on your story with One Hope Wine, please.
Yeah. So One Hope. I always say One Hope gave me hope because it just came at a time when I just really needed that community. Moving from New York 4 years ago to California, and then just simply just wanting a wine club, and I stumbled upon One Hope, and I was just like, wow, One Hope is such an interesting name for a winery. And when I started reading about their vision and their mission, it just sucked me in even before I tasted the wine. And for me, that's huge because my nickname again is Melly Winehouse. So that should tell you something, right?
Yeah.
So, I said, you know what, this is so nice that I can order wine and it's also giving back to a nonprofit that is dear to me, which is Alzheimer's. And Alzheimer's runs in my family, has been running in my family for over, wow, I'm gonna give my age away. I'm 45, so it's been in my family. I want to say about that long. And so I had multiple families pass away from that. So with finding in a company such as One Hope, and their give back is just incredible because we're not only choosing a nonprofit of our choice. One Hope also supports world hunger, clean water, health, and education. So I always said to myself, I want to give back, and I don't know how I want to give back, but one of these days, I'm going to figure it out. And then One Hope came. And so, long story short, I invited a few of my friends over for some wine. I wanted them to try it. They ended up loving it. And I was very happy because, I call them my bougie wine lovers because they're very much into wine. And if they don't like it, they're going to tell you, oh, this is not good. So they tried it. They loved it. They asked me, who's One Hope? Where did you get this from? I told them about it and they just loved it. And my girlfriend said, you know what? Come to my house and we're going to do a wine tasting and we're going to give back to behavioral health. And so that's what we did. And then from there, 3 years later, here I am still with One Hope, giving back. I'm involved with so many nonprofits, getting to know new nonprofits. And it's also encouraged me to want to even start my own nonprofit. So, it's about the wine, but it's not all about the wine, even though the wine is incredibly delicious. It's all about, helping others, bringing awareness. And this is what I love about, this podcast and, learning about, hydrocephalus. I had this in my family many years ago and really wasn't aware of everything that we have learned so far. And, this is why I love what I do with One Hope. So, I did create a fundraiser for Hydro with Hope. And we are going to help support Hydro with Hope and help them make an impact. So this fundraiser is actually going to go all the way into June. So you have time. And the best part is that Easter is coming. And so many of us enjoy to put, having wine and having gatherings. So we have an incredible sale. This sale is actually over tomorrow, the 35% off. But we do have our Save 10 coupon. So even if you missed the sale tonight, you can still use the Save 10 on your first 6 bottles. And you will save 10%.
Okay, and that's right down here. We're saving additional 10% off with the code SAVE10, where it asks you to put the code right on the website.
Yeah, so it'll at checkout is going to ask you to put in a code. So you'll get that 35% off, plus you're going to get an additional Save 10. So I think that's an incredible deal for Easter, and plus at the same time we're hoping, to raise some funds. So enjoy the sale. And then,
all right.
Yes.
Oh, here we go. Here comes the good stuff. You've got some wine pairings.
We do have some incredible wine pairings here. Easter is fun. We have candies on the table. We have treats on the table, all kinds of food on the table, and we're gathering. So here I just found a little put together on what wines may pair well with certain foods. And here comes my glasses because I can't see.
What? Good thing nobody else on this call has that problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right? It's incredible.
I need my over the glasses to see anymore.
It's incredible. Every time I'm at a restaurant now and me and my husband pull out our glasses and we just look at each other and laugh because we just can't see the menu anymore. But so Wine Wednesday, it's Wines Day. Enjoy some Wines Day. Let's help you put some wine in your cart. And over here we have some sparkling wine. Sparkling wine goes great with some egg dishes. So if you really like those cute little eggs that are stuffed in there and they taste so good and creamy, they actually the sparkling wine complements it really nicely. And also sparkling wine complements anything that's a little salty, even like popcorn. So that's a good pairing. So if you love some good delicates on your table, some good carrots, sweet carrots, honey carrots, whatever carrots you like, let's get some delicate whites in there. So something like a Sauvignon Blanc will go great with that. Even a Pinot Grigio would go great. Salmon, any type of fish or white fish will go great with the rosé and also with a Sauvignon and Pinot Grigio. You can't go wrong with those two. It also depends on your palate. But I always say, when you're tasting wine and you're eating, take a bite, take a sip, and if it tastes good, do it again. And if it doesn't, don't do it. Switch to wine. It may not complement what you're eating, right? So everybody has a different palate. And then we have some glazed ham. Glazed ham goes smooth reds. Smooth reds. So I personally like a ham with a good Pinot Noir. Tastes delicious. Tastes
What are
great.
some other examples of smooth reds? I don't think that's a term we've used yet.
Okay, so smooth reds to me is something that is not too dry, but it also has like a hint of sweet in there. So like a Pinot Noir, a Cab, sometimes Cabernet Sauvignons, they have great hints of berries and it kind of like just smooths the wine. It's really nice. And then if you like those big bold ones, you want to go for like a Malbec or like a Paso. So it depends on what you like. Everyone's different, right?
So you're not talking like a Merlot, though. A Merlot would not.
I think a Merlot would go great with ham. It is smooth. I consider a Merlot smooth. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank you for that.
You're welcome. And then we got some lamb, intense reds. So there you want to go with the more bolder reds. And that's when you're talking about like a Malbec, even a Syrah, or even a nice Cab. Cabs are different. Some are very smooth, some are very dry. So it depends on, your taste buds and what you like. And then for like a dessert, like a nice dessert, you want to go with a sweet wine. So I would say we have a great Moscato. Not a lot of people know about our Moscato wine. It's sweet, it's light, it's refreshing, and it goes great with any dessert.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the Moscato. I do like the Moscato. I've had that a couple times. So once again, you can go to the site and you can get this. Melissa, how do they? What is your website's name? I don't even think we have that yet.
It's one. My personal one.
Yeah. I think we need to get your branded one so we can make sure that we're getting this done. But of course, you can do that by scanning this QR code. You scan the QR code; it's going to go directly to Melissa's site and to this event. So that'll help. That'll help. Man, remember, every time that you purchase wine, thank you for doing this through June or until June.
Mm-hmm. And if the QR code doesn't work for you, you can just type in the web address on the bottom. Just make sure you put /event/203627, and it will pull up the event page for Hydro with Hope.
And you can also scan the QR code up in the corner, the one that's nice and purple and brown, because that one takes you to our Facebook page. And on that Facebook page, you have all of this wonderful stuff. So again, I want to thank you for all this stuff that you do. What is your favorite Easter wine?
My favorite Easter wine?
Yeah, for like an Easter lunch or something.
I would say the Sauvignon Blanc is my favorite. It's just really refreshing, light, and kind of goes with anything. So you can't go wrong with it. And usually you're celebrating Easter early in the day, so I would prefer like a nice light white wine.
Yeah, yeah. You can't drink all day unless you get started early in the afternoon, right?
Yeah, well,
So
hey, to each his own.
I used to drink a lot, and so I became very, very good friends with that saying. Hey,
Well,
joining our
the good thing about One Hope too, I forgot to mention, is that we are organic and there are no added preservatives. So it's a win-win.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, as I mentioned, we are doing this a little bit different than we've done it before because this last week and a half, I have met so many people that have experienced different facets of brain injuries or brain incidents, even if you don't want to call it an injury. I found it really funny that Stephanie was talking to us, Jeff, and she said, "I didn't even realize I was injured. I didn't know it was an injury
Right.
last week." I thought that was kind of neat. It's just this is the way life goes.
Mhm.
I met this young man last week, and I'm a little embarrassed to say, I thought we were getting together to talk about the show. Alex, we weren't getting together to talk about the show, were we? Oh, you're muted. No, you've got the microphone on, but you've still got to get the mute button. There we go. Wow. No, unfortunately.
No, there he is.
You guys can hear me? Or
There you go.
Okay, yeah, we got you now. We got you now.
all right, sorry about that. The mic is gonna go then. But yeah, so it was I joined from a networking event that we met, and we were just having a conversation, and it just turns out, I had a brain injury, I had brain surgery to fix it, and it was just dumb luck that I ended up here tonight. So I'm really excited to be here. Thank you guys for having me.
Hey, not a problem. You were fairly young when you had your surgery. Why don't you go on ahead before we get into this, Alex, tell us about and this guy's amazing. He's still in college. He's still working his butt off to get his degree, and he's working with Geico right now. But Alex, introduce yourself. I'm sorry, not Geico.
Uh-oh.
Aflac.
The other animal.
The other
Everybody
animal,
switches the two.
The other white meat.
But yeah, so my name is Alex Bihar. I am currently an insurance agent for Aflac. I'm also majoring in psychology at NYU. So that's sort of the introduction about me, specifically with everything going on with my head. I had what's called a Chiari malformation. So that means that my brain is too big for my skull. Now, that's a fairly normal thing to occur in different people. But when you look at all the different measurements that can be, it's, 3 to 6 millimeters is mild, 6 to 8 is medium, and then 8 to 11 is major. I had 18 millimeters, and I went most of my life without knowing that. And when I say most of my life, I mean when I was, I believe, 11 years old, I started having a couple of seizures, and those were completely unrelated. Still never figured out what that was about. But that brought me to a neurologist who, we did a couple of MRIs, figured out what was going on in my head. And then we said, okay, that's okay. It's not causing any problems. They didn't really ask me a lot of questions. And then a couple of years later, I was wrestling and I got a hit to the head, passed out on the mat, had to get taken off. Went back to that same neurologist. They said, okay, we're going to send you to a neurosurgeon. When I started talking to the neurosurgeon about all this, they started asking me a lot of questions like, hey, can you feel the tips of your fingers? My response was, you're supposed to be able to feel those? And like when you look side to side pretty quickly, does that hurt? I thought that was supposed to hurt. Same thing with no pain, no gain. Like when I was working out really hard, my head would just hurt. I thought it was supposed to. But so we found out that wasn't the case. I had surgery, fixed it. Pretty much what they did is they took a little bit of skull at the bottom, took it out, my brain had more room to rest in, and I since then have been completely fine. I wrestled in college for a little bit, no symptoms. Overall, I'm pretty good.
And Jeff and Melissa, this kid is so damn funny, because you ask him what happened, the first thing he's going to do is he's going to tell you, well, just to let you know, I'm smarter than you. I loved it. He was like, because my brain is so much bigger than yours, I was like going, and he was like going, no, man, I'm kidding. I'm like, no, that you are. There's no doubt about that. You are. You got me. But yeah, and Alex, now, what do you have to deal with now? Are there still headaches? Are there still anything that comes of it?
I wouldn't even say headaches. Every now and then, like it's difficult to describe. Like you feel that there is something. Like when I've had like a long day, haven't taken a nap all day and have just kind of been woke up at 8 in the morning, worked at 9 to 5, then had to do something else at 6, and then hopped on here. Like the longer the day, the more things you've done, the more you feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say feel it, like you just feel that something's right here. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't impede me in any way. It just kind of is there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's
Jeff, we have talked extensively about that there are some times when the days just, when the day just keeps running on and on and on, it seems like they go forever. And then after a while, you're just unable to keep, focused on everything.
Yeah, for sure, man. By the way, Alex, well done, man. I only know one other person. I've only ever met one other person that even is associated with Chiari malformation, and that is I met this guy, and then his daughter actually has it. So and so I'm impressed, man. Keep up the good work. That's awesome. I'm like baffled. I'm like, what do you mean no pain? Is that even legal? What's going on?
I think I got very lucky with the surgeon that helped me out. Did a great job.
Yeah, you did. That's awesome. I mean, I have a question though. So that is open back there.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, just the skin is over it, but basically, and you still wrestled with after the surgery that they removed part of your skull, and you still wrestled.
So the neurosurgeon that did my surgery and I talked a lot. We were very close, and he was very clear that it was entirely my decision. He recommended against it, but also kind of wanted to see how it went. So, because there's not a lot of case studies of people with Chiari's getting back into contact sports, and he said that there's no direct negative impact, but it's still brain surgery, contact sport. Never a good idea to mix the two.
Not usually.
I kind of went with it. Yeah, and it ended up turning out okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember pulling up on my neurologist, pulling up to her office the first time I met my now long-term neurologist. And I rode up on my motorcycle, and she just kind of looked at me like, you're out of your mind. And I'm like, sorry, it's life.
Everybody's got a thing. I've been skateboarding since I was a kid. I've been snowboarding since I was 14 years old. Up until about 3 years ago was the first time I ever wore a helmet. So, so everybody's got something that the doctor probably goes, that's probably not a good idea. You want to stop that immediately. So how are any of us still here, right? Oh,
Melissa, did you have any questions or?
Alex, you're so brave. First of all, it's just a blessing that you're able to share this with people. I find it so incredible that sometimes we go through things and we're feeling things and we're just going with the daily and thinking that it's normal until one day you get this diagnosis, and like you said, you thought it was normal, you thought it was just a part of you. And so, I'm thankful that you were able to get that checked out and fixed. And I just kudos to you, the bravery you have to say, you know what, I don't care if there's not enough case studies, let's do this. Like that just shows how much faith you have, and your testimony is incredible just to share it with everybody. So, I'm happy that, you're here to tell and to bring this awareness. So thank you.
I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Let me ask you this question: how much of your diagnosis and how much of what you went through leads into your studies?
It directly inspired it. I initially, when I got to school, was not psychology. I was pre-med neuroscience, and that was 100%, because of what happened with my head. Before I started at college, I did like a Columbia neuroscience program that was sort of the testing the water of whether or not I wanted to get into neuroscience. And then when I got to school, I realized, this is a little too much biology for me. This is not sort of the type of thing that I want to do for the rest of my life. And that's where psychology became a very easy segment. So the two, I feel like, are very connected, and it's kind of inspired the career path well, not the career path I'm going to end up in, because I'm in insurance right now. But the end goal is not to stay in insurance for the rest of my life. I do love Aflac. I love the mission. I love sort of what we do there. I want to use it as a stepping stone to get me to be able to open a clinical practice as a psychologist. And I think, the brain surgery was very directly why I kind of got inspired to do that kind of thing.
Was there anything in the during the biology, was there anything that you learned that you were like, whoa, holy crap, this could have been, that kind of scared you or put you back, or was it just the whole biology thing altogether that made you go, yeah, no, thank you?
It's the strictly memorizational part of it that just isn't for me. I personally, just operate really well face-to-face talking. And then when I'm thinking, problem solving and biology, and even when you start looking at what career paths am I going to go into, neurosurgery, pediatric neurosurgery was sort of what I was looking at. And a lot of that is hands-on issues with, a brain. I feel like, I don't know if I'm the type of person that can do that. And I said to myself, is sort of neuroscience something that I can realistically see myself finishing? And I said no. And I said, psychology is sort of what I can see myself doing. Conversations, helping people in that way is what I see myself doing for the rest of my life. So it kind of became, the right choice for me.
Alex, do you ever have conversations with other people who are dealing or with head injuries? And what is the first thing that you like to try to do? What's the first thing you would like to tell somebody if you meet them and they're dealing with a brain injury? What would be the first thing that you would want to tell them?
I think it's very similar to the mission that you guys have with Pay It Forward. It's you're not alone. It's, I for a very long time after learning sort of what was going on, thought nobody in the world has what I have. Nobody knows sort of what I'm going through. So therefore I should just shut up and deal with it. And that was definitely the wrong approach, because, at some point when I started talking to my family, my friends about it, it just, the responses that I got and the, attentiveness and, oh, let's take you to a doctor. Let's make sure you're okay. Let's do everything in our power to help. When you make your issues known to people, it is genuinely incredible what they'll do for you. And sort of just being open about your experiences with the people that care about you, I think is incredibly important.
Man, you're an inspirational kid. So I'm glad I made the mistake and we started to talk about this, because we could get you on here, because I think that you talking to the younger generation, I can talk to old guys because, well, I am an old guy, Jeff can talk to the people who are younger because, well, he's a little younger than an old guy. You, of course, can talk to the younger people, and then, Melissa gets to talk to all the beautiful people. So, look, I love the fact that you were able to do what you do and you do it with the strength that you do it. And you're very energetic and you're very excited about it. I mean, what are some of the things that you still enjoy doing that may be a little tricky?
Do you mean like tricky because of everything with this, or?
Yeah. Do you have any challenges on anything?
I mean, honestly, it's gotten to a point, like I said before, where after a long day, like I can feel it. It really hasn't impeded me. Like I do a little bit of jujitsu now, just because I'm not wrestling anymore. I mean, other than that, I don't really have a ton of physical activity stuff that I do. But I do AFLAC. I love AFLAC. My life is very wake up, go to classes for a couple of hours, switch off from that to AFLAC. After that, go back to classes. My day finishes probably from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. and then there's not really a ton of time to do stuff. So right now I'm on spring break. That's why I'm up in Vermont. I love reading. I love sort of being up in Vermont, being on a lake, looking out at the view. Right now you can't see it because it's dark, but the majority of it's really not negatively impacting my life anymore, and I think that that's amazing to be able to say.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to go through Vermont. That is very beautiful country. Melissa?
Yeah. No comment. Just love hearing your story. It's incredible, and I'm happy that you're able to come on and share this. And like Zach said, people your age need to hear these things. I'm just so happy to hear it all. you know,
I
people need
appreciate
to
that.
people need to know. So it's good that you're doing, and just you're strong. You have no issues. Like, it's a blessing. It's incredible. They absolutely need to share this more, and just open that clinic, open what you're going to do, everything you say you're going to do, and do it. And I could see you going far with it. So, bless you in your endeavors, and I hope you really do make it out there, and spread this awareness. So good for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, Melissa, let's switch focus onto you real quick, because I'm very intrigued. What do you want to get into when it comes to? I know that you've got the heart for Alzheimer's because of your family.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that you wanted to get into doing nonprofiting, and
Mm-hmm.
look, you're talking to a couple people here that what we all love that nonprofit world, but we also know it can eat you alive at
Yes.
times. So, what are you wanting to do with the nonprofits?
Well, something similar to what Alex, is doing right now, just bringing awareness. For me, I have three daughters, and it's, growing up in a family that has Alzheimer's, that has obesity, that has, diabetes and all this. I have decided at a very young age that I wanted to make that change for myself and for my future family. And, now, just seeing, how ever since COVID, I feel like we were stuck in a bubble for so long, and there's so many of us just struggling to try, to climb back up that ladder. And if my dream is to start a nonprofit someday where I can help women, young women, like myself when I was younger, and bring awareness to so many topics, because I feel that all of this starts with your mindset, with being aware. And when you bring awareness to yourself, you roll different in life, and you make better choices. So if I can help, align people with, with those simple steps, but steps that need consistency in life to become a better version of yourself. And I feel that nonprofits such as these, with all of us, that's what we do. We're trying to bring awareness and help people grow, help people, excel, succeed, or even if they need help in certain areas. So, I don't know how that will come about, but I know it's going to happen for me. So.
Well, I'll tell you exactly how it's going to come about. You just keep working at it, and you're going to do it. I mean, look, you've got a couple people here that'll definitely try to keep you accountable and make sure that you're doing what you want to do. I know in which we are going to be replaying the episode of Footprints Forward as soon as this show ends here in about an hour. And it was a lady who got into, and get this, Alex, she wanted to get into like the medical field, but when it came to dealing with a corpse, she passed out, and she was like, okay, this isn't me. This isn't what I want to do. But she saw herself getting into like, and something that Jeff, you're going to know a lot about. Alex, you probably know something about, and Melissa. But she got into clinical trials, and she found out how segregated and unfair clinical trials can be, and they've started a program to try to better that. It's a very interesting conversation, and I would definitely ask everybody to check it out, because it was an extremely interesting conversation. There was so much that I didn't know. I mean, I didn't know that it was, and one of the questions I asked him is, and maybe I would like to hear your guys' opinions on this, but there's a lot of ailments like COVID that attacks people with darker skin, people of different ethnics, people of color, people of brown and black skin, yet they had fewer members in those trials. What do we need to do to stop something like that from happening? And especially, Jeff, when it's coming to something like, maybe they find this miracle treatment for hydro, yet if we're not testing everybody, we don't know what's going to work for people.
Right. Yeah.
So, Alex, have you ever had anything to deal with anything like that, or any experience with it?
So on a personal level, no, but within my family, yes. I don't, my father has ALS, and with clinical trials, there's 50% of the people in a clinical trial get, a drug that has been tested a little bit and has the potential to really help. The other 50% get a placebo and have no idea that they're receiving a placebo and receiving no help for the first, 2 years, which is the most fundamental and important period of time during a clinical trial, or just having a disease like that. So there's definitely a better way to go about it. There's definitely things that need to be changed and improved about just clinical trials in general. I don't have the answers of how to do that. I think when you're I don't really know. I think that there needs to be a fix, and you talking about the fact that somebody is working to come up with one, I think is incredibly important and needs to be highlighted.
Well, let me ask you this, Alex. You put on your psychological brain here. Do you think utilizing the placebo effect, is that a good thing to do to somebody?
I think the placebo effect is a necessary scientific, like when you're the whole point of a clinical trial is that you're looking at everything through a scientific lens. But I think that there needs to be some intersection between morality and the scientific aspect of it, because you're dealing with people's lives. You're not dealing with mice in a cage. You're not dealing with a bunch of rocks that you can see what color they turn. This is people's lives, and whether or not they get genuinely helpful drugs or they're getting placebo for the first 2 years, which is sort of what determines how quickly these diseases are going to take root. There needs to be some method of, I don't know if the answer is lowering the percentage of people that get placebos down to, under 10%. I don't know if the answer is eliminating placebos at all, because you have sort of the baseline trajectory for what these diseases should be. I don't have, the correct answer, but I do think that there needs to be a change.
Jeff, I'm very interested in what you're thinking, because I just saw you, as soon as he said something, you just kind of went. So
with this whole, the whole medical industry needs to be kind of revamped a little bit, in my humble opinion. I know that's a big bite to bite off, but we've been saying it for a couple of years now. The I've found in my small, tiny little world of experience in this subject that there's more in general, there's more fear and greed in the world of medicine than anything else. It's how can we, we want you, the patient, to pay attention to what us, the medical world, is saying. And so we're going to say things that make you pay attention and make you take our advice. And I know that's changing a little bit. I've known a lot of really amazing doctors, and I've had nothing but incredible doctors and neurosurgeons that have been very open to, some natural things that I've been doing that have really worked on some side effects from some of these surgeries I've had. And so I'm not saying they're all out there to just make money and let people die. That's not what I'm saying at all, because there's an amazing group of huge group of doctors out there that are just doing amazing things. But I think the gap between, the money and the treatment needs to, we need to stop forming groups that feed, like with the placebo effect you're talking about. We need to start looking at it more objectively and less through the lens of what will steer it toward the outcome I want, so that we can get this drug to market and make me another $1 billion, and so okay, if you have a more diverse cross section that you have in this study, it might not get the result that you want, but maybe that's okay, because then if it does get to market, it's going to help more people. So I don't know. I'm certainly no expert, but that's just, I don't know. That just drives me crazy.
That's kind of one of the things that I brought up, like towards the end of the show, that you guys can all experience coming up at the top of the next hour, where, why can't we just make this simple? 3 white men, 3 white women, 3, or even 4, but make sure that every race is included. If you're going to do the stupid placebo thing, let's just make sure that one group gets it, one group doesn't, and let's see the reactions to it. Right. If you're going to do it, let's do it. This actually just clicked in my mind when we were talking about the medical, the medical field kind of being ridiculous at times. I heard a story this morning where there is a new drug for MLD, and it's a gene therapy for a fatal genetic disorder for kids, okay, that's coming out. Mm-hmm. Guys, it's got a wholesale value of $4.25 million. Who in the hell can afford that? Who in the hell can get that for their kid? Well, I guarantee you there's not any insurance company that's going to stand up and go, we got you covered.
And that and yeah, no, you're right. That, well, and with way back in the day, back in 2008 and 2009, 2000 whatever, for a few years, my wife and I were childbirth educators, and so we got to dive into that world, and oh my gosh, the medications they use in that world are unbelievable. And there was one in particular, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, and honestly, I just don't remember the name of it, so you're off the hook. But there was one that the drug was originally approved by the FDA to treat symptoms of ulcers, right? But at the same time, they found out somehow, I don't know how they found it out or what kind of crazy experiments they're doing, but they found out that it also would help kick off labor, right? And so it's like, really? But they didn't have to get separately approved for that by the FDA. It was already approved for ulcers. And so once a drug is approved, if they find some other uses for it, it doesn't have to go through a separate approval process, to my knowledge. Maybe I'm wrong, but in this drug's case, it was, and it was really having a really bad effect on on moms that were using it, and so they had to stop using it. But it was, I think it was because of that lack of approval process for that other purpose. It's just the drug world is out of control in some cases. So
the little blue pill was there for heart, for heart disease. So, and
everybody knows what we're talking about when we say that too. You don't even have to say it.
And it didn't come out as the male
Right.
enhancement drug. It was for the old heart, and
Yep.
well, I guess it still kind of is, if you will. But
Mhm.
Yeah.
so Alex, are there any things that you get to talk to other people of your age, other young people about? Do they, when they find out that you had this procedure, do they worry about hanging out with you or anything? Or is there anything that, do you not share with them all the time?
I mean, so I don't remember if when we spoke I had long hair or if I had this short hair. When I have the long hair, I usually just don't bring it up because the scar is covered. There's really no reason to bring it up unless people are asking like pointed questions about my past, which really doesn't happen. But when I have the short hair like this and the scar, you can kind of see like a whole line from my neck all the way up to like the middle of my head. Then sometimes it does come up in conversation. I've never had any hesitancy from people to hang out with me. I have had when I'm wrestling people, and a big part of wrestling is grabbing the neck like this.
Yeah.
And like people will grab, and then their like, because the scar also like keloided, so it like is a lot bigger than it could be. So it's like very noticeable when they grab it, and there's always like, "You sure we should rest? Like, are you okay?" And then like that always takes like a couple of minutes. But beyond that, there's really no hesitancy around the brain.
Well, that's good. I and the reason I'm asking that is because we did decide to start this show because we wanted to make sure that people understood that, just because this has happened doesn't mean that, you're you don't have mutant powers or superhero or superpowers, whatever. You don't have any of that stuff. You're just you're a very, very ambitious, normal young man. I mean, I think it's great, and I really congratulate you on everything that you got going on. But have you ever had any experience or any work with hydrocephalus? Have you heard anything about that?
I mean, I've heard of it. I think in one of my classes a while ago, it was put on the lecture screen for a little bit, and I know the very, very basics of it, but that's about it. My experience with other people having brain surgery is almost non-existent. I sort of had it, went home, recovered, went back to school, and kept going. So I'm really the only person that I know that's had this, and that's why being a part of something like this is really cool because I'm aware of the fact that I'm not alone, but it's really inspiring to see that I'm actually not alone, and to sort of see other people that have had similar and different experiences with sort of the same problem. So it's really great to be on.
Well, like I said, I just greatly appreciate that you've decided to join us. What is going to be your main focus when it comes to your therapy? Are you looking at are you looking for kids or adults, or do you really not care?
I mean, I really wouldn't care. It's really pretty much the plan is to be up here in Vermont in the middle of on a lake in a rural town, and sort of to set up a nice rustic practice. There's somebody that kind of inspired me. The type of practice that I want to run is this guy runs it out of his backyard. He sets up 2 chairs in the forest. He has his dogs come out. He has a couple of cats, a bunch of different animals, and it's therapy, but it's you don't feel like it's therapy. You just feel like you're having a conversation with someone. and it's for people that, you know, traditional therapy hasn't worked and there's a certain stigma against it, and it's sort of a way to break apart that stigma as to, you know, what therapy is and what therapy means. You know, starting something like that, just whoever finds my door, whoever needs help, I'll be there. That's the goal.
I love it because it's, you know, it's ambitious, and you're not trying to, you know, you're not trying to generalize, and you're not, you know, let's get as much help for people as we can. And I think that's so important. And again, man, I just, it was great to meet you. It was I'm thrilled that you're here, and I would love to have you on more often. That way we can continue to talk about things, because these are just things, you know, like I said, you said it perfectly, that you felt alone, and just making sure that we're letting people know that you're not alone, that you're not the first one. And this sounds a little bit like I'm being a jerk, okay? But you're not the first one. It's going to be really hard for you to be the first one, okay? Maybe the first person that continues to live after losing their head, they'll be the first one, but it's going to have to go to some extreme like that. All right? I mean, it really is. There are other people who are out there who have dealt with these things, who are really ready to try to help you. And you know, did you ever have anybody come up to you and say, "Oh, I know exactly what you're going through"? And what was, no? Okay, good. Because that's one thing Jeff and I, and you know, Melissa, I think we even talked about a little bit. It's one thing that just bugs the hell out of me when somebody says that. It's like, "Oh, do you?"
No,
Trade me places for a week. Yep. I promise you'll never want to come back.
That or welcome to my world. I'm like, right. I'm just gonna knock you the. Yeah. So, but yeah, we've got another guest that's going to be joining us in a second. I don't see her on camera right yet, but as soon as she pops on there, I'm going to be bringing in Shelby Joe Long. So she's going to be joining us. Alex, if you need to jump off, feel free. If you'd like to stick around and have a longer conversation, please feel free to do that as well.
I'll stick on for another 15 minutes or so, and I'll probably head out. You know, my time, I'm on Eastern time, so around my 8:30, I'll probably head out, if that's okay.
Okay, sounds great. There she is. She was just blended into her furniture. So we're going to go ahead and bring on Shelby Joe Long now. How are you doing, Shelby?
I am fine, thanks. How are you? Thanks for having me. I had my webcam up there, and it was not feeding through that, so figured it out.
Yeah, you know, those wonderful backgrounds. They're so nice sometimes, but then other times, like I used to have my picture of Abraham Lincoln behind me, and you know the cameras are made to pick up faces, and so every once in a while through my virtual background, you'd see Abraham Lincoln's face come from behind me, and people were just kind of. It was a little shocking to some people, but Shelby, you and I met earlier in the week, or late last week, one of the two. Yeah, but I'd love for you to introduce yourself and tell people a little bit about your story.
Where do I begin? To introduce myself, I met Jeff at a business networking conference. I'm a business consultant. I work in the publishing industry, and I also work in the branding and communication industry, help businesses clarify their messages and reach the audiences they want to. That's kind of the long and short of what I do. I've been a college professor for 18 years. I just stepped away from that recently and to go full into the business world and the multiple. I have about 5 or 6 businesses that are going on right now. They all kind of blend together, which is a great thing. College professor of business communication, and I ran the college debate program for 18 years. college debate program for longer than that, but that's been the majority of my career has been in that space in academia, and now I'm a full-time entrepreneur and trying to make it in this world. So there you go.
So in other words, as soon as you find something, maybe your days won't be as, you won't have as much free time. Is that what you're trying to tell us?
I just am constantly seeking to fill it. I love having conversations. I love building business, and I'm a creator. And I think that is that recognizing that about myself took a while to understand that. And I felt and I know that what this podcast is really about, it's not about my life in academics, but you feel at sometimes in your industry, whether it's a career or academics or whatever you're in, sometimes you feel trapped and you feel like your creativity is limited. And I got to a point where I felt that I needed to do something else with my genius. And so that's when I started the business pursuits. And now that's what I do. And it's a lot of fun because I get to meet really amazing people and share some really cool stories. So that's...
Well, I'm just going to say this right off. If you can figure out what this podcast is about, you're probably doing better than most people. I go by a seat of my pants quite often on this podcast. So, but yeah, this one is particularly about you've also had dealings with a brain injury.
I did. And that's a longer story than my transition into entrepreneurship, but I'm happy to talk about it. The end of my junior year of high school, so it's 30 years ago. This May is when it happened. It's amazing. I'm only 29, so I don't know how that happens. It's crazy. But I was in a car wreck, and I was headed into class night. I was junior in high school, headed into the awards night before graduation, and I was hit by a much larger vehicle, and my car flew off. My truck that I was in flew off the road, and I was thrown into a coma. And I was in a coma for 16 days altogether. And then I was in the rehab center for 4 weeks after that. And it feels very strange when I say I was very, very lucky that it was only that during the accident, because it was a pretty major thing, as you all know, to go through some sort of traumatic brain injury. But the only, in the car wreck, the only bones that I broke my pelvis in 3 places, and that was from my seatbelt. And then that healed while I was in the coma. And then, of course, the traumatic brain injury and the coma. Then very, very fortunately, I had a closed head injury. I didn't have any abrasions on my head. So what that meant is that I was not aware of what was going on. And then I was in intensive care for about the first week. And then I was had a semi coma. So I was responding to some things that the doctor would say and like squeeze my finger, and I would do that. So I was that way for about 10 days of the coma. And then when I woke up, I do have a really comical story about that. So it was the end of my junior year of high school. I was getting to the point where I was really starting to respond. So they thought that I would come about, and they thought that I would come into consciousness, but I was responding. And then my brother, I guess, who is 2 years younger than me, he was in the room with my parents and flowers and everything everywhere. And, I was young. I was a kid at that point. And my brother was on the other side of the room throwing one of those stress balls against the wall, like chasing it across the room. And this is no joke. I don't remember this, but I do remember the story because it's so funny. But I literally snapped into consciousness, and I said, "Sean, you're really starting to piss me off." So it's
siblings bring out the best in us.
So yes, he's brought out many different emotional reactions with me, but that's what inspired me to come back into consciousness. Again, I don't remember any of this, but then I was in the rehab center for about 4 weeks after that. And then when I left the rehab center, that was only when I left the rehab center, it was only 5 days after I learned how to walk again. That's a really interesting thing, is having to I had to teach myself how to swallow. I had to teach myself how to write again, of course, with the help of rehab. Had to teach myself how to walk again. It's pretty humbling to remember the first steps that you took when you're 17. And so it's, I stood up out of the wheelchair and I took those steps forward, and I remember that like it was yesterday. So it's that visceral experience and coming to, and the brain is such a really interesting and bizarre thing. But I was very fortunate. I was able to continue rehab for the rest of the summer. I went to school my senior year of high school, and then I went to college the following year, and I did all the things that I had planned to do before I got in the accident. And I went to college, and I was on the college debate team, and I was senior class president when I went back for my senior year. And the one thing, and I've told this story, and I'm happy to answer any questions and dive deeper into some of the things. But I wrote a book about it, and I wrote a book that compared my recovery from my brain injury to my entrepreneurial journey, because there's a lot of similarities. Facing fear, facing challenges, and really discovering who you are, and really digging into who you are as a person, and what you know, and what's your genius. And I find a lot of those similarities in the entrepreneurial journey. But there are a few things that stick out to me about the recovery, because you don't know if you're ever fully recovered, because a brain injury changes who you are.
Yep.
And so I always did, though, remember that I wanted to be, I didn't want anybody to know I had the head injury. I wanted to be the kid that got in the wreck, that was the kid that I was before the brain injury. I grew up in a very small town. So, 3,000 people, everybody in town. And I was that girl. And that, everybody was wondering where I was on class night, because I wasn't there. And so it was just a very small, intimate town that I grew up in. But it just an interesting way to go about that. But I do think that one of the things that inspired me to not feel like the brain injured kid was that my dad, I remember this, my dad, who's now passed, he passed a couple of years ago, but I remember sitting in the room with the principal and a couple of my teachers and my parents. And it was before I was going back to school my senior year. And I was a 4.0 student. I was going to go to college. I was going to be on the debate team. I was senior class president and all of those things. And we were in the meeting, and the principal and the teachers were like, well, I think, we could talk about, because Shelby just got out of the hospital. Let's give her a reduced schedule. She can ease back into school. She can do all these things. And my dad, I can hear him say this phrase to me today. He said, hell no, we're not doing that. She's having a full schedule. She's going to college next year. She's going to meet all of her goals. She's going to do all of these things. She's not going to get better unless she's challenged. And that, bless my dad. But that I think that just having that from somebody that I loved and that was such a mentor to me, made me feel like I wasn't different, and that, it was going to be a challenge, but I was going to do it. And so that's kind of the very, there's a lot of other details in there, but that's kind of one of the things too. And so I went back to school and I did all the things that I did before, and it was harder, but it was just what I did. And so I went back into debate, and I went back into youth leadership, and I really do feel, and I debated in college too the following year. And I really do feel that the activity of debate's very fast. It's very fast. It's very dynamic activity. You're listening to somebody speak, and you're writing down your speech, and then you're getting up and speaking right after them, and you're giving a 7-minute speech, and you're talking to an audience, and it's just, there's so much going on. It's so dynamic and moving. You move all the time. And I think I really do feel that activity helped me re-engage and just all those synapses were firing again, and
Right.
that's
Yeah. And
that's
yeah, and Shelby,
there's a long story.
Yeah, one of the reasons why I really wanted to, Alex, ask you the question is, did did you keep this from anyone? Is Shelby, you felt like you needed to keep this from people for the longest time?
I did feel that. I did because I didn't want to be, and I think part of that's the small town, and part of that's I was an invincible junior in high school and going to go to college and do all these things. I didn't want to be the kid with the head injury. I didn't want to be the victim. I didn't want to be known as that. And there was some amnesia, of course, like my best friend, she stayed on the phone with me right after I woke up from the coma. She stayed on the phone with me a long time, and she I probably had the same conversation with her like 15 times in one phone call, but it was that type of energy that really helped me heal. And I didn't want to be the kid that was less than, and I wanted to live up to my parents' expectations and my own expectations for myself. So yeah, I hit it.
Well, but with your book, obviously you came out, you decided hiding no more. I'm coming out. This is me.
Yeah.
Take it, leave it. You're going to love it. You're going to respect it.
Yeah. And I think it took me, even when I went to college, I didn't even tell my debate coach in college that I had a head injury. And he found out through like a newspaper article that was in the state paper. And because I didn't even want to tell him that. And it's not something that I really brought up in conversation. But then when I started to get into my entrepreneurial journey and working in the brand development and brand strategy space, a story is so important. And because a story is how you and your brand and your product connect with an audience. And if they don't know your story, then it's hard to develop trust. And so I was asking all the clients that I worked with to tell their story and to be vulnerable and to put their heart on their sleeve and connect with their audience. And I wasn't doing the same thing. And that's what inspired me to get in the space of writing a book. And that was, I had to recreate all of that 28 years later, and I have no memory of it. So it was almost a therapeutic exploration of that too, because I had talked to my parents and my best friends and what they went through when I was in that accident. So it was interesting, but I think it's hard to be vulnerable. And I think that's maybe one of the things that prevented me about telling the story for a long time.
Well, I know with the amnesia that you're talking about, I know one of the things that have come up a couple times on like my Facebook thing was when I recorded right after my accident, and I had my son in my arms, and I was trying to talk. I couldn't even move my jaw. My face was so badly fractured that I couldn't move my jaw, and I couldn't speak. And every time I see it, I try to think back, and I'm like, I just don't remember any of it. I don't remember any of it. And it freaks you out, and you're like, okay, I think I know what the hell I was trying to say, but what the hell was I saying? Because it did. I don't know why I had a monkey chasing a football. I don't know what was going on in my head at that point in time, but yeah. So, I love the fact that you've brought this all together. And Alex here is a young man that's in college right now. He's getting into psychology and doing all these wonderful things with Affleck. He's a busy young man. And I mentioned to him a little bit, to you a little bit, that I had that conversation with him, and I thought that it would be something great to have you guys on together. So I'm going to be sending an introduction to everybody to each other so you guys can hopefully get in contact. Melissa is my partner on this show. We work with One Hope Wines, and every time that somebody purchases a bottle of wine, Jeff, throughout this month and next month, if they use the QR code, Jeff will get a portion of your sales along with the One Hope Wine Foundation as well. But I've got one more guest that's going to be coming on. I know, Alex, you were going to go on ahead and drop off. It's getting kind of late, and I want to respect what you've done and joining us. But thank you for coming on, my friend. And please, let's not make this a one-time thing. If you got things to announce, let's please just reach out. Let's keep the conversation going.
I really appreciate you guys having me on today. Jeff, we should definitely get in contact after this. I'd love to stay in contact with everyone on this call, and I look forward to it. So I appreciate, you giving me the time to speak. I've never really had a platform to talk about this. I have people that I talk to it about in passing, and it's been awesome to be able to sort of, open up about some of the things that I haven't really had the opportunity to before. So I appreciate you guys having me, and I look forward to being back.
All right. Well, hey, when we get right back, we're just going to take a 30-second little break here in dedication to a buddy that I know is watching. But Alex, thank you for joining us. And when we get back, we're going to have Cindy Fisher on talking about a wonderful app. I saw this app after Jeff introduced me to her. And this app is something that I think everyone showing right now, it's going to make your little synapses start snapping, because I think there's a lot of good in this. So but this is just part of what we do at Community Pay It Forward, and this is for my brother with Martyred Angels. Such a heartbreaking story that John went through, but he has done some wonderful things with that. And as we've all had to deal with there, you saw the words PTSD, and he helps people after the loss of a child. Wonderful organization, comes from one hell of a bad place. But John, I appreciate you joining us. Thank you so very much. Hello, Cindy.
Hi. Hi. Thanks for having me.
Hey, you know what? Jeff and I were talking the other day, and he said, there's this lady who's got this app that I'll bet you'd be interested in talking to her. And I went on and I started looking at your app, and I'm like going, yes. And so Jeff and I are both typing to you at the same time going, hey, we need to talk. But can you tell us a little bit about what your app does? Your app is called
Smart Steps Mobile.
Smart Steps, and yes, you can get it on your mobile device. But please tell us about it.
Sure, I'll just hold up a little screenshot of it here. It's presents ideas of things to do when you run into a situation that's stressful. So it has several preloaded scenarios on the free download. So you just click a button like one, I'm going to pick my ride is late. And first it says take a breath. So it offers a note of reassurance. Oops, sorry, my dog's barking. And then it asks, is it a cab? Is it waiting for someone I know? Or am I using public transportation? And then it just keeps offering suggestions. And then at the bottom, there are some practical tips. It may be social scripting. If they're going to ask someone for help, it offers an idea of like, what could they say? There's also a read aloud button. So if the person doesn't want to speak, then they can have the phone speak for them. Or if they're not a good reader, then they can use it to read to them too. So it just keeps clicking through. And then ends up either on a prompt to call for help or a success screen. So, and every, the number of buttons or the number of screens varies, just depending on what button you push. There's also a profile button at the upper right-hand corner, and it leads to the person's profile. And again, that's part of the free app. And so if they need help remembering their address, or they can also store notes about themselves at the bottom in case they, just need to get help from someone. It's a quick way to relay some information about themselves. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. There's a map button at the bottom. Oh, thank you. You went to the website. So there's a map button at the bottom so they can, use it leads to the phone's map. So it would do anything the phone's map will do without having to leave the app. So yeah, there's my website, smartstepsforme.com.
Yep. And look, and each one of us has gone through a different injury. Why did you create this app?
I was working with 18 to 21-year-olds at the time with disabilities, and we were on the campus of the community college, and one of my students lost his backpack on campus, and we had to, he had to go home without it and was upset. He had autism. And so I wanted him to have a way to be able to solve problems because I knew he was capable of going to school on his own, but when he needed help, he needed it right away. So I started out by just developing some flowcharts for him to use, and found that, he couldn't memorize the flowchart, and I know he's not going to carry around flowcharts with him. So that's when I thought, oh, this would make a great app. So I took a couple of business classes and got some grant money, and went through a couple of iterations to get to where the app is today. So yeah, that's how I got started. And then I did find out, oh, this, it's not just for people with autism. It's just for any kind of issue where people might need help navigating stressful situations.
Well, our co-host Melissa Lozado, she has got a lot of experience and a lot of family, a lot of family our connection with Alzheimer's, and I think that would be something that your app would be very, very useful there. But absolutely. I was talking to somebody else the other day, and I just think that having your app very accessible to somebody immediately if they get lost. Jeff, you and I have talked about how I've been in a store, and
me too.
Yeah, you've been in one of those, huh? But no, I was in a store once, and the store manager came up and asked me if I was okay, and I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Why? And he goes, because you've been standing here for 30 minutes. Yeah, I haven't moved. That point in time, if I would have had something like that, maybe they could have said, hey, do we need to worry about this? Is this something going on? And that's the reason why I immediately fell in love with your app. Okay. And there are other people that I would like to introduce you to, because, even though it's a little twisted sometimes, my brain does work, and there's somebody I really want to introduce you to. I mentioned you to her, but yes, Melissa, please. This is the one where I really wanted to get you involved in this one.
Yeah, so that really hit home for me. It brought me back to, when my mom was diagnosed at 47 years old with Alzheimer's. And I remember there was a time when a friend of ours called and said, hey, is your mom okay? Because she's in front of the building, but she was in front of a building that we used to live in, not our building where we lived at currently. And so she was lost, and she couldn't remember how to get back to the new building, which was just 2 blocks away. And and right now I have friends that are going through this where with their relatives, and they're going places, getting lost, not remembering. I had a friend not too long ago who was driving somewhere and stopped because they forgot where they were going. And this is such a horrible disease, and to have something like that is incredible, because like Zach said, sometimes you'll find people in that position where they're just stuck, and they can't remember what they were going to do next. And just to have a tool that they can use is really nice. So thankful for that, and I will definitely recommend it to friends and family as well, because it's an incredible tool to have, especially these days. Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, sure. It is available just on the App Store right now. It needs some revisions to get back on Google Play. It was on Google Play, but so that is my goal, to have it back on there. And then I also want to mention that it can be customized for an individual. So if there's something that a situation where they need some ideas and prompts, then it can be created for them with the upgraded version. So
Nice. Well, I'm definitely going to upload it for myself and check
okay.
Shelby, with your accident, would this helped you at any point in time, or were you cognitively okay? Because I know, like I said, there are times when exactly what Melissa says, I'll be standing there and I'm like going, what the hell am I even here for? What am I doing here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it would help, because I think it's, even brain injury or not, where there's a lot going on and we all have overloaded information. So
Yes.
it's to have those memory skills for sure. And memory testing, if you don't work it, you might lose it. At that time though, it was 30 years ago. So it was like before we even had phones. so
True.
I'm sure it would have helped. I think what it speaks to, the kind of bigger concept it speaks to, is like a ritual and writing something down. And I've talked about the debate and how I feel really that was an activity that's like cognitive gymnastics, right? Because you're listening and you're writing and you're comprehending and you're writing other arguments, and then you're getting up and speaking. And so it's like all these things going on at the same time. So it's like it's just a cognitive exercise constantly, and it's constant critical thinking. And I really do feel that, and even to this day, if I like typing something on the computer, I won't remember it nearly as well as if I write it down in my chicken scratching that only I can read. But if I write it and see it and I map it out, then that's something that's really that's how I can remember that helps me remember things more than if I type it. So which makes it interesting, because that's just the way the brain works. I think there's a habit also, and getting into habit and getting into a routine. I feel that was also very helpful for me, and that I just kind of went back into all the things I did before. And after I got in the accident, and I did school and I did sports, and I had to manage my time. And, I was very fortunate I was able to do all those things. And I think the more that I exercised my brain, the easier it got for me. So at least, my senior year was kind of a blur in the fact that, your senior year is going to go fast anyway. You have everything going on. You're getting ready to go to college. But then, I couldn't drive on top of that, because probably not a good idea for me to drive. And I had to pass the cognitive test to be able to do that 6 months after the accident. So but I do think that ritual and that routine and slowing down and writing things down made a big difference. So that's kind of what it connects with me. I'm sure it would. I'm sure that routine is, and I'm not a therapist or a psychologist, but I would guess that is something that helps people that have problems with memory.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Cindy, what have you heard from other people? People who have used the app. What have you heard from them?
I can tell you, one person, just he likes my Right is Late. That seems to be a really popular one. He said that it helps to calm him down, even though he's experienced that situation before. But if he misses the public bus, or he just doesn't know what happened to it, it helps him just to stop and know that he has something to rely on, to help him figure out, okay, what are my options? What can I do? Who's around me? Is there someone around me I can ask? And then what do I say? And then just a more recent person, I haven't heard like specific stories from her, but she's writing some for her daughter. I don't know if it's a daughter with a disability, just a young daughter, and she's excited about it. Another person, she was a senior in high school at the time. That was like just a year, I think it was 1 year ago, maybe 2 years ago. She was giving me ideas for new decision trees, and one was for I am anxious. She was a senior in high school, and that's an anxious time for anybody. So we just built in different tools of things you could do, and I put that in. I uploaded that as one of the public decision trees, so it's in the free version now. But it's kind of the same thing, that it just helps her to know that she's got something that she can open up and use in those moments.
Well,
So
I know that we had a custody for a little while of a young man with autism, and if we were a minute late to pick him up, his brain went where it went, and it was very difficult. It was very difficult for him. Like you said with the backpack, when you said that about the backpack, this young man would have.
Oh, yeah.
He would have lost his ability to think straight for the rest of the night. And God forbid it would be on a Friday and we couldn't deal with it until Monday, because then it was a disaster. And I didn't have the training to take care of someone like him, and it was really difficult for me, and it's still kind of difficult for me today to deal with, knowing the things that I know now, hearing about your wonderful app. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get this on and talk to you, because I really want people to take, and if you've got anyone in your life that this could make their life, Shelby said it right. This might be something that, everybody should have, just, oh, she's here.
Yeah. I was at a conference for parents with children with Down syndrome, and there was a police officer, and he was a parent attending, but he was pacing back and forth, and he came back over to the table and he said, everybody could use this, so just from his perspective as a police officer, just that ability to stop and think about, I do have options. I don't have to resort to violence, or, and I'm hearing that as a trend, that, we need more support for working through tense situations, because our resources, for whatever reason, our personal resources just aren't what they used to be. Or maybe that it's just more apparent. I don't know. I don't know, but we definitely need more support in the mental health arena. um, and just that functional level. There are statistics about adults with autism, the 10 years after high school, that they're not participating in their lives in any way. They're not going on to school. They're not going on to work. They're not, participating in volunteer activities. They're, probably sitting home on the sofa playing video games, and I've been in parent support networks online, and I'm hearing a lot of that, they're not wanting to leave the house, and parents are pulling their hair out, not knowing what to do. So this isn't necessarily going to help someone be motivated, but if they're not doing it because they're afraid of running into situations, then it could be a support for them.
Well, look. I mean, this is when I first approached Jeff about doing this show. Tonight is the reason why I asked him to do this with me this month and talk about this. With the brain injuries, is we've had we've had 6 people on this show, and everyone's story is a little bit different, and everybody has dealt with things a little bit different, and it just proves that where Shelby and we both had an accident, and there were similarities. I was already an old guy when mine happened, so there was no going back to class the next day, and if I would have gotten a lot of trouble. So there was none of doing that. But Cindy, the mix between you and Melissa, and how her love of people with Alzheimer's and what she can do. I think that this is the reason why we're trying to do this. Jeff, your show. Did you have anything that you wanted to ask Cindy or Shelby?
Well, Shelby and I are working together. She's going to be a guest on the show here coming up soon, so I'm really excited about that. It's going to be awesome. And Cindy, I think we need to reconnect, because I feel like brain injuries, right? I feel like I totally dropped the ball. So I feel like we talked about it, and then I don't know what happened, but so we definitely need to reconnect.
Okay. Yeah.
So
great.
we can talk more about that, because and actually I have one other person that I can't wait to introduce you to, that could maybe work with you on the that kind of could I don't know. It's something related that I think
Okay.
you would really like to know about, that you might get.
Okay. I
value
am
from.
interested in doing some research, and I've been networking quite a bit over the last year, and I've got
Yeah.
several possibilities, but yeah, I'm always looking for, okay, this is a group, this is a population that would like to try it out, and develop some case studies, or
Yeah.
gather some pre-post data or whatever. So yeah, if any of you are interested in that, I'd love to talk with you more about it.
And Shelby, who can we help you find? What is somebody that you're looking for that we can help you try to find?
In relation to that, I mean, I think this.
In anything, business, whatever you're looking to do.
Well, I have discovered about myself on my own journey of telling the story and actually publishing it, and going through that process again. Because that was the strange thing, is that I experienced it, but I didn't really experience it because I don't remember it. And so, which was a gift, I believe, but it was also a gift that I had parents that are like, yeah, you're just going to go do it. I mean, you're not going to get better unless you challenge yourself. And that, I think, is also a huge gift that I had. But what as I stepped away, the book that I wrote is about my journey of recovery, but then also my journey of entrepreneurship. And what I discovered is that creative piece of me, that I am now in a space where I can do anything that I want to. And that feels really amazing. And my gift is being able to cater needs, whether it be a nonprofit message or whether it be a marketing message or a brand story. That's my gift, is to be able to do that and connect that with an audience because of that introspection. And I love being in that space. It's a very creative, I'm an architect of business, and I think that's really fun. That's where Jeff and I met at a business networking group, and that's an incredible, vibrant group that is all about business growth and success. Achieve it is, and I'm part of another business networking group that's also extremely important in mentoring and helping people find success. So I want to do that. I want to have more of these conversations.
Oh,
You know what,
awesome.
Zach, I told you too that how many times have I emailed the Brain Injury Association of Montana and had no response? None.
Mhm.
But it's not something that everybody's been through, but there's some good stories of resilience, and I think we need to hear some of those things. That's why I wrote the book. That's why I'm a business coach. That's why I do the things that I do. So,
Well, I really appreciate Shelby and Cindy. Thank you to both for joining us today. Thank you so much for what you do, and thank you. And just let's keep this going. You know what? Anytime that you have something to share, anytime you have something to say, let's get on here and let's do it. Let's make sure that these stories do get heard. They need to be heard. Okay, there are people who are out there who need to hear them. So let's make sure that we keep telling them.
absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank
No
you.
And
problem.
Shelby, can you just share the name of your book?
Yes. It's called I See Your Genius, Transform Your Idea into Income. I'll put it in the chat.
Okay. Awesome. And Shelby, I loved hearing your story as well. And I would love to chat with you some more. I feel like you and I have a lot of things in common.
I would love to catch up, love to know more about that. That's how
Yes.
it's not business, but it is like business and relationships, that they're synergistic. So,
Absolutely.
and my email, here's my
got
website.
this one for you, businessdynamics.agency.
Yep. That's it.
Okay. Yep. So there you go. All right, ladies, again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're unfortunately at the end of our 2 hours. So, but thank you both. And let's make sure that we keep this going. And Shelby, maybe I'll run into you in Achieve sometime.
Yeah, I hope so. I'll be down there in June. So looking forward to it.
Oh, okay. Well, looks like we'll probably run into each other then. So
we get to see all kinds of people in June. We're just gonna have a big old party.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, Cindy and Shelby, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Jeff, Melissa, this is why. This is why we did this. This is why. And I want to thank you two very much for helping me through this and helping me put this all together. You two are so wonderful, and I just greatly appreciate it. Once again, you can get a hold of Melissa. Now I got to scroll through everything because my everything is everywhere. So, but you can get a hold of Melissa through her email address at there it is.
Yes.
MaryWinehouse_onehope@outlook.com. And look, visit right here, right beside me. Look at that. Woohoo! There he is. Scan that and you can go straight to our Facebook page. Give us your stories, give us your wine pairings, give us your favorite wine recipe. Tell us about your wine story, and maybe Melissa can help you get a couple different wines. You can get a hold of Jeff with Hydro with Hope.
There it is.
Score one for the
You'll
fat
get
guy.
it. You'll get it. It's all right.
Yeah. Score one for the fat guy. But Jeff at hydrowithhope.com or visit his website at hydrowithhope.com. Hey, everybody, this is all the time we got, but please Make sure you love somebody out there, because somebody out here loves you. I want to thank you all very, very much for joining us. And please remember, no one has to go it alone when we all come together.
Stepping out of her fear, bring me home. Out alone, you show me the way. You wanna be a part of Sunset Boulevard.